these next 3 sections are going to be on forgiveness, on releasing your past, forgiving others, and forgiving yourself. And this is not going to be an easy task. Forgiving others, forgiving ourselves can be incredibly difficult. Letting go of the past can be incredibly difficult. Part of it is because the past is the only thing that we have a reference point for. It's the only thing that we feel we can base our future decisions on, is what happened in the past. And yet there is only now. Yet there is only this moment right here. And so when we are basing our future decisions on past behavior, on past patterns, we don't change anything. We tend to live in those patterns rather than breaking them, rather than create something new. So releasing the past is such a huge part of what we are doing. It is the change, the transformation. It is the shift in our patterns that embraces the light, that uses that light to share, to grow, to expand. And when we are holding on to grudges, when we are holding on to our past, when we are holding on to patterns that were created from pain, we stay stuck in a constant pattern where that is always happening to us. Not to get too woo-woo, but all time happens all the time. So if somebody hurt you in the past, then they're still hurting you now. If somebody hurt you in the past, they are still hurting you now. If you think about something that happened to you in the past and it still hurts, then it is still hurting you. Then it is still affecting you in your everyday life. And it points to a space that needs a little bit of healing. So we're going to take this in 2 directions. We're going to start with forgiving others. And we're going to move into forgiving ourselves. Now, the key component in all of this is going to be empathy. The key component in all of this is acknowledging the divine energy. We spoke about that earlier in the series here, Unleash Your Light. That energy of God, the light, Gaia, divine, Fred, whatever you want to call it, is the energy that animates us. It is the energy of electricity, of movement, of kinetics, of, I don't know all the right quantum words for it, but it is the energy that animates us. Now, that person who hurt you carries that same light of the universe within them, carries a piece of that same God within them, carries a piece of that same light within them. And so because of that, we really have to recognize their divinity, their light. Now, this is not an easy thing. There's literally a phrase, namaste, that people say, and they don't really know what it means. But it basically loosely translates in the light in me recognizes the light in you. And so this phrase kind of sums up forgiveness for me. When you can look at another person and recognize their divine energy, it starts to shift how you see them, even people you don't like. People hurt, and people hurt others. And many of us, and many of you, were hurt by multiple people in your past, by multiple people who were supposed to take care of you, who were supposed to love you, who were supposed to give you all that love and comfort and safety that every child deserves. But that is often not how our lives go. And we learn at a very young age to protect ourselves. We learn at a very young age, based on what people do to us, to put on armor, to protect ourselves. And because we do that, because we shut down many of those pieces of us, those vulnerable pieces, we box them in or we wrap them in armor to protect them so we don't get hurt again. Because of that, we end up losing part of our ability to receive love, to receive kindness, to receive loyalty, because we expect it to be betrayal, because we expect it to be pain. And because we expect that, we attract it. Or we sabotage the love and loyalty that we do get because we don't believe it, because we don't think that it could possibly be real. When we are dealing with other people who have hurt us, forgiving them can be incredibly difficult because often they don't think they need to apologize. They don't think that they've done anything wrong. They don't feel like they've hurt you at all. And they will deny it to the end of their days. So we have to be able to forgive without getting an apology. That's something that a lot of people will refuse to do. This topic of forgiveness is one of the most complicated topics that we talk about. And it is one of the most highly debated topics that we talk about. See, forgiving doesn't mean that you are saying what the other person did is okay. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you condone their actions. Forgiveness doesn't mean that what they did is all right. Forgiveness is merely saying, I recognize the pain in you that caused you to act this way, and I get it. Or at least I can relate to it. Because we cannot judge the motivations of another based on our life experiences. Because you don't know what they've been through. For example, a person who gets hit every time they say something wrong, or every time they say the word banana, is going to react in a very negative way to you pulling bananas out of your bag. And they might hit you first, or they might run away, or they might cower in fear before you. But they're reacting that way because of what's happened to them in the past. And often that's what betrayal is somebody reacting to you as if you were someone from their past. We're going to dig into this a little bit more when it comes to forgiving yourself. Every person carries a piece of God within them. And if you believe that, if you believe that that is true, then every person is worthy of forgiveness, simply because they exist. And at the very least, they are worthy of our forgiveness, because it is not up to us to judge. And so even though they may be doing terrible crimes, horrible, heinous acts, we have to recognize that they have a piece of God riding around with them as they commit these heinous acts. They have a piece of the light that is with them in every single moment for every single thing that they do. Every time they hurt someone, that piece of God watches them do it. These are the people that need our forgiveness the most, because they need their light to be activated, or to grow, to be watered. Forgiving others does not mean you're saying what they did was okay. But it does mean that you understand their pain. It does mean that you get that what they did was out of their own sense of pain. It's not an easy thing, but it's necessary. It's one of these simple steps that we have to do. You just have to continue to reprogram and shift your mind. Reprogram and shift your perspective, and rewrite the programming that kept you holding that grudge. Because when you hold on to your anger, you're not hurting the other person, you're hurting yourself. Forgiveness is always for you. Forgiveness is always about your healing. Your healing. It's not about them, ever.